I found out I was HIV positive in 1985. And back then, the test results took like 3 weeks to come back. It was at the beginning of October, and they said it'll come back on the 19th or something, and my birthday is the 21st. And I said, you know what, I'm going to be out of town on the 19th. She said, well, come by anytime after that. And I just happened to be walking by the test site, and thought, oh yeah, I'm supposed to get my test results. And I had been urged to do this by a friend of mine who was just a platonic friend, who said, you know, you really should get tested, you really should get tested. And I pretty much didn't think anything of it, because I had lived in Anchorage, Alaska for the previous 7 years, and I'd only been in I was in Benicia, about 40-50 miles out of San Francisco, and really didn't have that many sex partners, so I really didn't think so much of a positive was going to be the results. But I went in, the lady, and back then they didn't really have counseling or anything for you, and I have no idea how many results this poor lady had given out, but she opened up the envelope and she just stuttered and stammered, and I think it was more difficult for her than it was for me. And she's like, oh, well, I don't know how to tell you this. Well, that pretty much told me right there it was positive, you know. I'm like, oh, it's positive, huh? And she goes, yes, it is. I'm like, well, you know, thank you. Don't take it personal, because you didn't have anything to do with it. So I went out and I got a beer after that. And I really didn't give it a whole lot of left brain thought, a lot of logical, analytical thinking for maybe another 2 years or so. I did always have the attitude that it's not a death sentence. And I mean, it's been 26 years now, and I'm hardly skinny or anywhere near bad health. I mean, I've had all kinds of things happen as a result. In the hospital, different kinds of cancers and all this other stuff, but it's all something you can bounce back from. And I think still thinking that, knowing that it's not a death sentence, might have changed my outcome, because I do remember back in the mid-'80s, late 80s, a whole bunch of my friends in San Francisco would become diagnosed, and then 9 or 10 months later be dead. It's hard to say how long they were tracked or how long they had the virus or anything about their own medical cases. I just know that. And there's a certain amount of survivor's guilt that goes along with that, because I do wonder, why not me? And I miss an awful lot of friends, which I kind of have this new, within the last couple of years, attitude that I developed where if I'm going along and I think about somebody that's dead, I kind of just assume they're in heaven or wherever, and I kind of look up and I say, thank you, just for being my friend, and I acknowledge them, and then I keep going. And so maybe they're my spirit guides. They're probably part in the cluster of that cluster grows larger and larger as time goes by. I think they're there to help me too. So hopefully I can embody something. I just decided that for my birthday present, I was going to go in, because you can tell them in the military that you're whatever, you're stealing, that you're gay or whatever illegal thing you're doing, and you will get immunity as long as you tell them before they start investigating you. So I went to tell my squadron commander, who had just changed. He was a really nice guy. And I walked into the new squadron commander's office, and I felt it was much easier for me to do this, because I really didn't want to say this to the old guy, because I knew the old guy. So I walked into the new squadron commander, and I'm like, where's he at? They said, oh, he's at squadron commander school. I'm like, oh, well, it's the first sergeant in, because that would be the next person. No, he's sick today. Well, I need to talk to somebody. Who do I talk to? We'll talk to Major Grandinetti, who was the one I knew and I liked. I was like, So I walked down to his office. Just walked in, and the secretary's all like, hi, what are you doing? I'm like, I need to speak to him. Is he here? No. Try the general's office, So I walked down there. There's nobody there. Come walking up the hall again. He comes out of his office, and he goes, hey, I heard you need to speak to me. Real happy, I'm like, okay, yeah. And he comes down and he puts his arm around me. He says, so what's going on with you? And I'm like, you probably need to go in and sit down and I'll come in and salute and make it official. And he's like, oh, this sounds serious. What's going on? And he sat down, I sat down, and I just kind of stared at him for a little bit. And I was like, He goes, well, what is it? I said, well, I have this sexual preference, and it's definitely men. And he goes, he leans back in his chair and looks at me and goes, what do you want me to do about it? Because as far as they were concerned, they didn't care. You know, which there's so much hoopla about it nowadays. But I was very flattered by the fact that they really didn't care. They would have gladly just kept me. I said, probably should process me for a discharge. He's like, oh, okay, if that's what you want. You know, put it into most people aren't really forthcoming about their status. I have always felt it's something that's very important. Since I found out I don't have unprotected sex with someone. I did have a 6-year relationship with a guy who actually used to complain. He said, I can't wait till I can have unprotected sex with someone else. And I'm like, well, this is not going to happen here. Because I mean, I think if I knew that I had gotten someone positive, that would be a big guilt thing for me. So I protect myself by protecting them. Very unfortunate. We are blessed here in California that our ADAP program, which is AIDS for Drug Assistance Program, is fully funded, and we don't. Florida, which is there's a lot of gay people in Florida. They have a wait list to get on their ADAP list. Georgia, Louisiana, many of these states have a wait list. These people can't afford their medications. My medications probably cost about $2,200 a month. Hell, that's a third of my yearly salary. You know, and if it wasn't for the ADAP program, I couldn't afford it. And God knows, I went many years without medications because they were in the process of being refined. They're pretty good now. So I am thankful. Anyways, I'm thankful for this program. I wish that there was more support out there for people in other states as well as in this organization. It's not necessarily death sentence. I'm 51. I've been HIV positive for 26 years. So that means I've been positive for a little bit longer than I've been alive. A little bit longer than half the time I've been alive. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So, you know, I found out when I was 25. I'm 51 now. I'm nowhere near dead. You gotta hang in there. There's shit that happens, shit you're gonna go through. That's part of life. Everybody goes through some learning processes. That's where we're all here, I believe, is to learn something. And if you can learn something to help other people, that's a good thing, as long as you can apply it to helping other people. If it occurs, deal with it. I would, I'm not even going to say buckle down, because there are points at which you might be overwhelmed. Just know that there is a way to get through it. You can survive this, obviously. I've been doing it longer than I haven't been doing it. So if it can be a testimonial or motivation or anything for anyone else, I hope that you can understand that and have faith in yourself.